Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sam. This is my co-host Phil, and today we have Mike and the Mechanics for you. And this is a first-time reaction of this group for us.
The Living Years is a song that we're doing. You probably know that, and you clicked on the video. That's why. But we have not done Mike and the Mechanics, as Samantha was alluding to. Looking forward to a new group, which is always fun when we get introduced to somebody that we've never heard before. Yeah. There's nothing like their first time, as they say. And Mike, apparently, the guy, Mike and the Mechanics.
Mike from the Mechanics, yeah.
He came from Genesis.
Interesting.
And we've just recently got into Genesis for the first time. So he kind of went over, I think, started a side project, and it turned into Mike and the Mechanics, and it was unexpected. Yeah. So we also got a little bit of background on this song, right? The Living Years, in terms of its representation of what it's supposed to mean.
Yeah, talking a little bit about how his grandfather, his father passed, and then his son was born. So kind of talking about these generational shifts and stuff like that.
And I think some of the issues surrounding the generational changes of maybe communication between different generations, that's the gist that we get about this song.
We just did a little brief kind of synopsis.
Yeah, we don't like to do too much information, don't like to go in blind on some of the more important songs as well. So this seems like they're really one of their really big songs. I think the album was also called The Living Years as well, that this is from. Track. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into some Mike and the Mechanics. You ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Blames the one before, and all of their frustrations come beating on your door. I know that I'm a prisoner to all my father held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all his hopes and fears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Oh, crumpled bits of paper filled with imperfect thoughts, still to conversations. I'm afraid that's all we've got. You say you just don't see it. He says it's perfect sense. You just can't get agreement in this present tense. We all talk a different language, talking in defense. Say it loud. Say it loud. Say it clear. Oh, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. It's too late. It's too late when we die. Oh, when we die. We don't see eye to eye. So we open up a quarrel between the present and the past. We only sacrifice the future. It's the bitterness that lasts. So don't yield to the fortunes you sometimes see as fate. It may have a new perspective on a different day. And if you don't give up and don't give in, you may just be okay. So say it, say it, say it loud. Say it.
All right, we'll run it back a little bit so we can get into this beautiful choir vocal that they have going on.
Yeah, I like that add in there.
Great build in this song in general. I mean, we started off a little subtle and, conveying some of the messaging he wanted to get across, I think, to capture and rope you in with his lyrics and, building that process into the choir escalation of the vocal and the power and the messaging and beautiful messaging at that. I really, really love the lyrics that he's presenting in this one.
Yeah, I think it really makes you think, right? And it kind of highlights that, well, people are alive. Obviously, they'll just live in disagreement or not communicate with one another because of generational differences or feelings that arise from expectations from the generation before or whatever. And then before you know it, it's a little bit too late to be working those things out. So I think he's just highlighting, like he said, right, when you're dead, or when you die, you can't kind of come back and work through some of those things. And he made reference there to, only having left pieces of crumpled paper, right, of what's left of his father. So, I think that those are kind of powerful things to think about. And I think also too, right, for him, for example, he obviously has a son that he's highlighting in this. So I think like once you lose a parent, but you also have kids, it makes it real for you too that that's going to happen again at some point, right? Like the tides are going to turn and that you're going to pass, and then your kids are going to be the ones that are in your position now, and then they're going to have their kids.
Yeah.
And,
I think it's expressing a lot of self-awareness on his part, though.
Yeah.
Because he's the man in the middle, right, between his son and his father. But you have to be self-aware to understand that that's going to be you someday, right? And not everybody's going to realize that and recognize that. And then to make it into a song like this and convey this great messaging with great lyricism is really a credit to him and the group as a whole. Obviously, it's not just Mike. I'm sure, they may have had, a group-orientated songwriting, but I'm not sure. You guys can elaborate on that. But anyways, the lyrics, like I said, are great in that, some of the things you highlighted are important to come to a conclusion about before it's too late. And I think it's applicable to so many of us, right? Like even today, it makes me think of how so many people are blaming the generation before them for affordability issues, right?
Yep.
For, it's like you hear this going theme is that there's people that are fine. They've had their housing prices go through the roof and they're going to be okay because they got all this equity. And then there's, people that are younger, that are in their 20s and their 30s that are struggling to get by, can't afford to buy anything. And this is different for different parts of the world, obviously. But, from a North American perspective, I think that's pretty relevant.
Yeah.
And so there's people that are younger that are blaming older generations because of the position that they're in and vice versa. And then the older generation will be saying things like, well, they don't work as hard and they're lazy. And like, if you just work to build something, you're going to be fine. So it's that perspective from two different generations
100%.
that creates conflict. But what Mike is getting at here is the communication to say, like, look, we've just come from two different time periods, two different ideologies, two different environments. We need to find some common ground, and that's from a societal standpoint, but obviously it remains true from a family standpoint as well, that you can have that divide that really creates some issues, but the key is communicating.
Yeah, I think it really just takes the openness to listen to both sides, right? I think oftentimes there's this idea of that I'm older than you, so I know better than you, and you have to listen to what I'm saying because I'm the elder, I'm the experienced one, right? And I think that's where a lot of heads butt in family dynamics, because that's not always necessarily the only thing that matters, right? So,
well, it works both ways, right? It's that maybe somebody that's older will present those ideas and say, I know what's best, but also there's the reverse, that maybe somebody younger won't listen to the experience of somebody that's older and make the same mistakes, right? And so I think, like I said, it comes to let's, talk about these things, find common ground, because usually in any conflict, there's more common ground than not.
Yeah.
And so anyways, let's circle around to these lyrics at the end. Let's continue on with a great song that they've put together here. Really enjoying it. So let's go back to the living years.
Sacrifice the future. It's the bitterness that lasts. So don't yield to the fortunes you sometimes see as fate. It may have a new perspective on a different day. And if you don't give up and don't give in, you may just be okay. So say it loud. all the things I had to say. Think I caught his spirit later that same year. I'm sure I heard his echo in my baby's newborn tears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. So say it, say it, say it loud. Say it clear. Oh, say it clear. As well as you hear. It's too late. It's too late when we die. It's too late when we die. We don't see eye to eye. Hey, so say it, say it, say it loud. Say it loud. Say it clear. Come on, say it clear. Don't give up. Don't give in. And don't wait till it's too late.
Really powerful, obviously, from his standpoint in that, last verse that he's talking about his personal experience with his father. And I've really appreciated those insights, getting into a look into his own experiences and expressing some of his own regret, which, takes a lot to go on a track and talk about those things. But I think it was interesting because I didn't necessarily feel sad listening to it because of the way I think they put the song together, that it was uplifting and it was supposed to have a positive message and, create awareness for other people that he's kind of, almost doing what he's telling people to do in the song and leading by example and communicating and saying like, learn from my mistake type thing. Don't make the same mistake that I had, which is, a leadership standpoint and a leader's point of view that you try to express like, learn from me. And that's what we were saying before is that, he's probably telling a younger person, somebody that still has their father around to, try to tell them as much as you can while they're still here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also too, like everything that you just said is valid, but also I think he's also trying to highlight that you can change it for the next generation, right? Like I think a lot of the times people will have like generations and generations of the same things just happening, right? But all it takes is one generation to break that cycle, right? So I think he's kind of saying like, like you said, anybody who's currently around listening to this, it will impact, but also for him, like he can now change that in the cycle with his son, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure. I think he was definitely emphasizing that point. And I enjoyed the song as a whole. It's a great composition. It was powerful, had this like gospel choir feel in some sections, a power ballad in others, and combining together to make the song come together for what it is. I think it was beautifully composed.
Yeah, I think it sounded great. Like it was something that was really pleasant to listen to, but also had, that hard-hitting, good, positive message. And I feel like those two things together usually make like a really great song. So.
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts on this song. Let us know if you have any experience with this, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure this is applicable to a lot of people. They can relate to this, that maybe they lived their lives a certain way or had relationships a certain way with a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, an uncle, an aunt, whatever, whoever it might be. You have probably instances where maybe you would have approached things a different way. Maybe this is enlightening for you guys if you're checking it out now, and that's always a positive thing. Yeah. And it's one of those situations where I think as well sometimes when somebody gets sick or something like that, it's like you've been at odds with somebody for a long time, and a family member, a friend or something, and then they get sick, and then you realize that it's like really severe and they're not going to make it through, and then you kind of put all that stuff behind you anyways. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so like I think this is highlighting, like, hopefully
why wait till then?
It doesn't get to that point, right? Just put it all behind you now. Try to resolve your differences by communicating what I think is he's talking about, and setting an example, like you were saying, for somebody younger. So sure. Let us know what your thoughts on this song are. I thought it was great. I loved it, obviously, because I keep rambling about it. And so
I give it 2 thumbs up too. I really liked it.
Hopefully you guys can give us a thumbs up as well. If you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, come alongside us with this journey. We'd love to have you. We plan on keeping the growth going into 2024 and beyond. So we'd love to have you as a part of that. And hopefully we see the ride. Hopefully we see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you then.